Dr. Fauci's emails get exposed, Lana Rhoades announces that she's pregnant, and we've got everything you need to know about the upcoming Floyd Mayweather versus Logan Paul boxing match. All of that and a lot more, but first, if you could do us a big favor and please tap that like button, we would really appreciate it. And with that out of the way, let's begin the InformOverload weekly roundup. First things first, let's talk about Dr. Fauci's emails getting exposed. Recently, thousands of private emails from the US infectious disease chief, Dr. Anthony Fauci, were revealed, and the contents are quite troubling. If you recall, Dr. Fauci became the face of the COVID-19 response for the US, and in the past he has served as a health specialist for 7 US presidents. Thanks to the Freedom of Information Act, over 3,000 pages of emails were obtained by the Washington Post, BuzzFeed, and CNN that date from January to June of 2020. So right smack dab at the start when things started to get really crazy with this pandemic. Earlier on, there had been word that the virus had leaked from a lab in Wuhan, China. However, this narrative was immediately dismissed as a conspiracy theory, and the media would routinely say that it had already been debunked. In fact, experts said that it was extremely unlikely and that there was no evidence to support these claims. Although now an email from January 2020 to Dr. Fauci from the director of the country's largest biomedical research facility suggested that the unusual features of the virus indicated that it may have actually been engineered in a lab. Not to mention, but there was also his utter failure when it came to the messaging on wearing masks. In February 2020, an email exchange with the former health secretary said, "Masks are really for infected people to prevent them from spreading infection to people who are not infected rather than protecting uninfected people from acquiring infection." He then added that store-bought masks are not really effective in keeping out virus, which is small enough to pass through material. Then even the following month, Fauci received an email from a friend in the Chinese public health field who stated that he had actually been misquoted by the media in regards to wearing a mask. He said that forcing this mask wearing was a big mistake, but then the media reported it as not making people wear a mask was the big mistake. And if you recall though, he also flip-flopped a lot on the masks. First it was don't wear them because healthcare professionals need them, then it was masks mandatory, then it was wear 2 masks at times. Now there is a debate as to whether or not we have to keep wearing them even after being vaccinated. But we want to hear what you all think about this in the chat right now, and while you do that, I'm going to send it over to Jared for some sports and science.
Thanks, Johnny. What's happening? It's your boy, the spiciest host in the game. You already know we're talking sports. It's science, baby! Whoa! Back in the studio, you know I love it here. Just the echo of science. First things first, we gotta talk about the biggest boxing match in YouTube history, because with all due respect to Jake Paul, KSI, Austin McBroom, Bryce Hall, and all those other guys, well, none of them have come close or fought anyone remotely close to Floyd Mayweather. Are you kidding me? Regardless of how you feel about Logan Paul, you gotta give it to him. Securing a fight with one of the best to do it is incredibly impressive. And if you're planning on watching the fight, well, we got you covered, as I'll go over everything you need to know. For starters, the fight, which will see the 6'2", 200-pound Logan Paul with the 5'9", 160-pound undefeated Floyd Mayweather, will be on June 6th. More specifically, the main card is slated to start around 8 p.m. and with 3 other fights on the card, including former NFL wide receiver Chad Johnson making his boxing debut. Well, you probably want to watch all the fights. It'll be fun. The pay-per-view is about $50 US, which is being sold through Showtime, or you could buy it through Famio for the same price, which support Showtime, you know? No, I'm kidding. Support, I don't care what you support. The fight itself is taking place in Miami at the Hard Rock Casino, and it should be a good one. Mayweather referred to the fight as a legal bank robbery coming out of retirement once again for what he sees to be an incredibly easy payday. After the whole gotcha hat thing with Jake, it seems Logan feels this has gone from entertainment to personal. Floyd feels the same way, explaining, I quote, "It's one thing to sell a fight and people could say what they want, but one thing no one is going to do is disrespect me." It seems Floyd felt disrespected, and Jake, Logan's younger brother, who dubbed himself the problem child, doubled down and got himself a tattoo reading "Gotcha Hat." Truth be told, Logan has only fought one pro fight against KSI and lost. Floyd has won 50 of his 50 fights, 27 by knockout. The fight is scheduled to be 8 rounds, 3 minutes each, and won't have any judges, but there will be a referee, and of course, knockouts will be allowed. That being said, I don't see this going more than like 2 rounds if Logan's lucky. Probably a first round finish, unless it's fixed and we pay to watch a WWE event, which, you know, I wouldn't mind. Makes me feel like I'm 12 years old again. I love it. WWE is so fun. Triple H, Shawn Michaels, a little sweet chin music, you know? John Cena, yeah, why not? Now, Rey Mysterio. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for some science, baby, let's go! So this is actually nothing to get jacked up about, as it's actually quite problematic, guys. A massive oil tanker caught fire and is slowly sinking off the coast of Sri Lanka, polluting the waters and has the potential to cause irreversible damage. The ship, named the Express Pearl, had been on fire for days before finally being put out. Now neighboring countries are working together to try and stop the massive ship from going under. The fear is if the ship does sink, it'll release the apparent 25 tons of nitric acid it's holding into the water, on top of the hundreds of tons of oil in its tanks, which would inevitably kill the majority of the surrounding marine life. Nitric acid is used to manufacture fertilizers and explosives, and nearby coastlines and beaches have already seen the negative effects from the accident. Fishing in certain regions has now been halted indefinitely, and oil, as well as general debris, is starting to wash ashore. Like I said, guys, science, but not the good kind. The blaze itself went on for almost 2 weeks straight, 13 days total, and after taking care of business, the Navy from Sri Lanka and the Indian Coast Guard are trying to keep the ship afloat. They've been working non-stop since May 20th, and although it's not fully clear how the fire broke out, it's believed a nitric acid container was leaking. The shipping company said in a press release it was, I quote, too early to tell, but at one of their stops in Qatar and another in India, the company explained, I quote, the advice given was there were no specialist facilities or expertise immediately available to deal with the leaking unit. Hopefully this all gets sorted out and the waters are safe, because those poor fish and all the marine life shouldn't have to deal with our mistakes, guys. I can't get all that jacked up about science now. I'm just kind of like, it's kind of, you know, back to Johnny.
Thanks for those updates, Jared. Now let's move on to some feel-good news, shall we? A very generous couple named Crystal and Patrick Duhaney are our heroes of the week. After experiencing their own hard times upon becoming new parents, they decided that they wanted to give back. The couple started secretly hiding money in diaper boxes and under formula canister lids at local Targets in hopes of helping out struggling families. They managed to actually stuff about $1,000 worth of cash into different baby supplies around Los Angeles, and they don't plan on stopping anytime soon. Crystal told news outlets, "We recalled how hard it was for us as new parents to afford some of the basics, and we could imagine how difficult it must be during this pandemic." Alongside a video of them hiding the money, Crystal also wrote in her Instagram caption, "Being a parent can be tough. Before I founded Milky Mama, we often struggled to make ends meet. So hubby and I went to various Target stores in Southern California and hid money in baby items. We hope that the parents that purchase these items have a brighter day when they find our gifts. The world could definitely use more people like Crystal and Patrick, so we are happy that we could feature them for our feel-good news." With that though, let's send it over to the Spill Zone with Mackenzie.
Thanks, Johnny. So today on the Spill Zone, we're going to be talking about some pregnancy news. So former adult star Lana Rhoades has just announced that she is pregnant, and the big question on everyone's mind right now is, who is the father? Lana first hinted at the pregnancy when she responded to a hater calling out her shiny forehead, saying, quote, "It's actually a pregnancy glow, but go off." After this, the internet was going wild with speculation, and everyone was wondering if it was actually true. But Lana cleared up the rumors very quickly and posted a photo of a sonogram to her Instagram with the caption, quote, "This is the announcement." She even included the due date of the child, which is January 13th, 2022. At this point, everyone's wondering if Mike Malak, host of Impulsive, might be the father. Mike and Lana dated for about a year, and their on and off again relationship was very public, but they both announced that they had broken up for good in February of this year. But they have said that they have hung out after the fact. Mike has actually responded to the pregnancy news. In a now deleted tweet, he said, quote, "Does anyone have a contact at the Maury show? No big deal." So like, what is happening? I guess Mike isn't sure if it's his or not, and Lana hasn't said anything about who the father could be, but there also could be a chance that Mike is just clout chasing and taking advantage of the news, even though he knows that he's not the dad. I mean, really, who knows? And in the craziest twist of fate, the child actually has the same birthday as Mike. I literally can't believe it. Could there be any more hints that he's actually the dad? Either way, I'm sure we'll be finding out very soon. And of course, a big congrats to Lana on her pregnancy news. Now back over to Johnny for the comments.
Thanks so much for those updates, Mackenzie. Well, folks, that has been today's show, but before we get out of here, I'm going to check out some of your comments from our last weekly roundup. KLC says, "The Kardashians normally make me want to just give up on society altogether, but good for Kim for working so hard on such a good cause." I mean, yeah, it's nice that she's doing something other than just posting on Instagram, you know? It's a good change up. Jimmy Bolden says, "Finally Kim is realizing she has to work hard at something." Well, it was an unaccredited test, so she's working half hard. Jackie Warner says, "Keep the feel-good news, helps me believe in humanity still." Oh, the feel-good news is not going anywhere, I can guarantee you that. Dia Dream says, "Love what Jaden Smith is doing." Oh, what Jaden Smith is doing is absolutely a shining example of what more celebrities need to do. Amanda Terrio says, "It's hard enough on the ego to fail a test, now imagine the whole world knowing about it." Hey, that's just Kim Kardashian's life. But for now, guys, that has been today's show. Big thanks to Jared Bronstein, Mackenzie Smith, and our editing god Daniela for all of her hard work. I've been your host, Johnny Rogers, and until next time, stay classy, YouTube. It's the weekly roundup! Ooh, that was odd.
All right. At this point, everyone's wondering if Mike Malak, oh my god.
Back in the studio, baby. Can't wait for the echo when I yell science. I can't wait for them to bang on the wall too. What time is it, like 9:12, 9:15? We're about to get jacked the fuck up, baby! Tired myself out from that intro, bro. Well, I'm 173 when I got my license, and I'm 5'8 3/4.
That's 5'8" actually, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm 5'8 3/4, but we'll say 5'8. This is actually, I shouldn't get jacked up because this is kind of fucked up.